I cannot even begin to describe to you how reluctant I am to make this video. And I know that's not a good way to start a video, but I had an experience the other day and I didn't want to share it. I talked to one of my best friends and she encouraged me and told me I should share it. But I really wanted to keep it private, but I'm just gonna go ahead and share it. Um, I had a sort of spiritual encounter, like with a soul. I felt the presence of a soul. I'm not going to get into the details of the circumstances surrounding of like where I was or what I was doing. That's not important. I just want to tell you about the experience itself and why it occurred probably. And it has to do with this true crime case I briefly mentioned the other day that I said was the worst one I've ever heard of after basically my entire life, studying cases of true crime for the purposes of trying to understand the motives and the psychology and the spiritual nature behind um, these deviant acts and stuff. And also because things of an extreme nature, many of you don't know, have occurred to me as well. And I've been in some very, very extreme and serious situations. And instead of running away from it, I actually am more interested in figuring out, what causes psychopathy, what causes, you know, anger outbursts. What are these things, And it's not just, oh, it's just he's tired or diet. There's a lot more to all this stuff, and it's a lifelong study. And true crime is just one of those things I've always been interested in. Never talk about on my channel, of course, but I listen to plenty of podcasts, and a lot less so lately. But over the last years, I have. And there was a particular case that I've known for years out of Knoxville, Tennessee, that bothered me so much. Um, I just couldn't conceive of such a thing being real. It was worse than any horror movie you can imagine, and it actually happened. And it for some reason over the last few days, I it came to mind again. Why? I don't know. I didn't research it again. I didn't look into this particular case again. For those of you who are interested in details, the names are Shannon Christian and Christopher Newsom, 2007, out of Knoxville, Tennessee. But it just came to mind again. And so I like overviewed and reviewed the case, and I was again lost. Like it seems like you have all the answers at one point, and then you're just lost again. And just replaying it over and over in my head, the situation, like being deeply bothered by this situation, despite all the things that I know about and have learned about the nature of duality and the universe and the rebalancing and the restructuring. And it's still, if you're a normal, caring, compassionate person, any such thing would bother you regardless, right? So, for a couple of days, I'm dwelling on this case again. And I was in a situation and I feel the presence of someone next to me. And it's a very powerful spirit. I could literally feel its energy next to me. I could feel it radiating energy. I know that there was a person there. You can feel a presence when you know someone's standing behind you, when you know someone's standing next to you. You know that someone is there. And I couldn't see anything, but they were there. but I could see in my mind's eye that it was the main victim in this case, Channon Christian. And keep in mind, I'm extremely weary and reluctant of, channeling and uh, things of that nature, or summoning spirits, or I used to channel, by the way, many years ago, and I have no interest in that stuff whatsoever anymore. I don't think it's safe to do. So I just want you to keep that in mind for context, that it's not something I normally try to just meditate on and conjure things up, okay? And so, in my head, um, I just immediately ask her, is this a karmic cycle? Did this happen to you because you did the same or similar in a previous life? The answer was no. And I did get this sense that there actually is some truth to that, depending on certain circumstances in certain situations where you can be facing, reciprocal energy as a part of rebalancing. Um, and this could be, through the hellish realms, through reincarnation. Whatever it is that you do, though, it will come back to you. That is, it's the natural course of just how things operate in creation. So it's not unusual. What would be unusual would be like, this endless cycle, right? Just of violence that can't be stopped, right? Of one soul or another. And it kind of feels like that's what we're stuck in. This is exactly what it feels like. I don't know though. She said no. She said that in the ethereal heavens, she encountered souls returning, and would observe their lives, and she was especially empathic toward battered women and women who had, I can't say the R word, but the R word, and violence perpetrated against women specifically. Okay, so she had an incredible amount of empathy for these souls. Okay, and she really wanted to help heal them, even though there's a really strange phenomenon that occurs when you die. You have no memory of what happened. You're detached from the body now, but it still lingers, right? In some way, it still has to be cleared out. It still has to be worked through, because it's still embedded in your soul energy, um, a traumatic event or whatever the case may be, or your whole life, really. Even though you're very detached from it now and you're in a completely different reality. So, in the process of trying to be, a healer, she actually wanted to experience it for herself. That in order for me to truly understand what these women are facing in this extreme violence, and that's actually not even what happened. Well, I mean, it is what happened to her, but the situation was different. It wasn't a husband, it wasn't anything like that. It was actually race related. Nobody talks about it. It was blacks against whites. But we can't talk about that, right? Um, but so she actually knew that before her incarnation, that this situation was extremely likely to occur, and she incarnated knowing this. But of course, while you're here, you have no memory of agreeing to anything, right? And which, of course, is kind of screwed up. But she it did she did receive what she wanted. Um, she experienced that, and now she can empathize on a much more personal, much deeper level with those who have faced the same. And as a result, she became a better healer, a better soul healer to those. Okay? And I'm not saying that, that's right. No, like, there's no justification for this. I don't care who says what. You're never going to convince me that it's right, even if you volunteer. I'm, s- I'm, I'm against it. I'm against things like that. It's wrong. It's just wrong, okay? Like, war is just wrong. There's nothing you can convince me that will say that war is good. It's not. My brother-in-law has taken in a couple of Ukrainian refugees just now, actually. And I don't really see many billionaires doing that, or, you know, movie stars. They just like to talk but don't act. That's not my point, though. I'm kind of getting off track here. But it's still wrong. But okay, what is the summary to all this? I actually did feel really relieved after that. Very, very relieved, like a huge weight off the shoulder. It does sort of make sense when you think of it from that perspective, but also, she also said that for every act of like horror that occurs, 10 times greater love is returned. How that works exactly, I don't know. Um, but it's like a boomerang effect. I don't know if she meant like if this was in the heavens or on earth or like in general or whatever, but it's like reciprocated tenfold back. So that healing is 10 times greater now than whatever the act of horror was. So my point is, this is all a sort of training here, um, for three specific things, and variations of those things. Um, one, we're here to become better healers, more empathic healers, have more empathy, have bigger hearts. Two is what would feel like the opposite of that, but it's actually not, to become greater warriors. Okay, and that doesn't necessarily mean war like physical fighting. Train to become greater warriors. Now, you can meditate on what that word means for yourself, but I can assure you that it has a much deeper meaning than simply fighting a battle. Um, it's strength, it's honor, it's vigilance, it's, you know, a, a desire to take care of, protect others, things like that, right? It's an honorable thing, right? And it's actually literal too, from what I was able to see after this experience. And then also teachers. So, teachers, healers, and warriors. This is a training ground for teachers, healers, and warriors. For what? Not just to help this planet evolve, if it ever does or gets destroyed, I don't know anymore, but new ones, newly created planets. We're here training to help new worlds emerge and become their teachers so that they don't get stuck in the same conundrum we're in. And in order to be good healers or be good warriors or be good teachers, it does in fact require a variety of experience, even in some relatively rare instances, extreme experiences. And again, that doesn't make them justified or right. They're not. And the consequences for the perpetrators are going to be absolutely extreme and return to them a millionfold. So that's it. I mean, we're here to help new worlds. I'm pretty convinced of that. And then of course evolve ourselves and become who we truly are. So as controversial as what I said is, it is what I said. So I hope you like that. And next video, I don't know when it will be, but it will be a live stream. So we'll get to that someday. Let me know what you think.